Here's another video that will help you out with 3.6. Towards the end of the assignment is a problem like this where there's a third variable. Let me highlight that for just a minute so that we're all on the same page about what I'm referring to. So most of the videos have a P and a Q, and that's it. But there are some times that we have a third variable. And so let me show you what a truth table looks like for that. If we have a three variables involved like we do here, then we're going to need a P, sorry, my fault. We're going to need a P column, a Q column, and an R column. And the way that we do the truth table when we have three is very much the same pattern as we had before. Half the ones are going to be for P, and there's going to be 8 total now. There's always, you get always twice as more whenever you add on a variable. And then the last ones are going to be false. So I'm going to have 4 true, 1, 2, 3, 4 true, 4 false. Then for the Q, you're going to do 2 true and 2 false, followed by then 2 true. Sorry, I don't know why it has it there, and 2 false. And then the R is going to be the one that alternates. True, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. That will give us all the combinations as we go through. So notice that each time we get half and half, half as much true, so forth and so on as we go through. So I'm going to try to draw lines in here so we can track them better. See about getting some lines in here. And then I'm just going to double check my work, right? Make sure I have everything okay. And then I'm going to pay attention to what I'm going to need up here. And so looking at this, I'm going to need a not Q column. So I might as well get that. That's my false, false, true, true, false, false, true, true. That'll help. I'm going to need the first condition there, the P and not Q. So as we go for P and not Q, we're going to be very specific as we go through that, looking at the right variables of P and not Q. So remember with an and, they both need to be true. But here the not Q is false, so this is going to be false, false, true, true. And then let's go to this next one. Ooh, we got one that's false, so that's false. And all these should be false because the P is false, right? And so we have everything false except these 2 true, kind of in the middle there. Then we need the P or Q, the one that needs next. And so making sure we look at the right rows for P or Q. We got, those are right next to each other. So as long as one of them's true, the whole thing's true. So P's true for all these first ones. And then as we go to the next group, Q's true, Q's true, and then they're both false. And so we get everything true except these 2 false right there at the end. So then we're going to go and look at this last one here. Okay. And that is that whole first thing together, the P and not Q, or PVQ. Okay, so that's that whole first line. So we just built ourselves up to that. So a little bit crazy here in the amount of stuff we have to write, but we can handle it. And so as we go through here with the or, as long as one of them's true, the whole thing's true. And so we're going to get true all down here. And then let's look at these last ones. Both of these are going to be false because they're both false in there. So we get all true and then a false. And then we'll set ourselves up. The next thing we're going to need to know is that next condition there. That's the not P. That should be easy. That's just rewriting all of the first ones as false and the last one's as true. So that takes care of those conditions right up front. And then we need to look at the and column. And unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to have to go down a line, but let's go and get those two conditions together. So this is I'll try to write it small enough. This is P and not Q. And P or Q. And the not P together. So now as long as somebody's false, the whole thing is false. And so as we look at this guy, the first one's false. The second one is false. The third one is false, false. Now we got some trues in here. True, true. But now these last two are false. Okay. So that brings us up to there. But now we know what we need. We need to know a not R. So let's create that not R column. Well, not R is going to alternate between starting with false, false, true, false, true, false, true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and another set, false, true. Okay, and now we need our guy of this big last one, the one that has the P and not Q, or P and or Q, and not P. We need that guy to imply the not R. And as we do that, let's see if I can draw these lines out here. We just need to identify the truth value, which will be the last step in knowing whether this is a true statement. So the unfortunate thing is I'm going to have to rely on the information up here. So anything implying false is true. So we got a true there. We'll get a true here. We'll get... So let's go look at this guy. Maybe directly. False implies false is true. False implies true is true. As long as it's false, we can say anything. So all of these first ones are going to be true. So false implies false is true. False implies true is true. False implies false is true. False implies true is true. And now we got true implies false. That's false. And we got true implies true, that's true. False implies false, that's true. And false implies true, that's false. But I think in this one, and let me just double check here for just a second. So we have everything true except this middle one because of all those false involved. So I'm just going to double check this as I'm doing it with you, just to make sure that we're on the right track. And so because of that, we now know that this argument is invalid. And the reason why it's invalid is very slight, invalid, right? Just that one time, as long as it happens once, it's invalid. But this is how you would go about doing a truth table when there's 3 variables involved. Again, you'd set up your P's by having half of them true, half of them false. And then for your Q's, true, true, false, false, true, true, false, false. And the R alternating between true and false. That will give you every combination. And you're just going through really carefully and navigating through those. Hopefully this helps. Thanks for watching.